If you have your own creepy story, I'm waiting for your email. All the information under the video. Thank you for watching. Please, press like and subscribe to my channel. Has anyone seen the upside down woman? I don't believe in the supernatural. Never have, never will. But everything the last few days has me questioning everything. I haven't slept. I haven't eaten. I haven't left my house. Yet I fear she will get me anyway. Let me start at the beginning. I was driving home from a friend's party 3 days ago. I'd stayed late and it was already dark out. And then something caught my eye. On the 3rd floor of an old Victorian house, the light was on. In the window, I saw a shape. The shape of a woman hanging upside down. It was as if her feet were somehow tied to the ceiling and she was hanging upside down in midair. Her arms somehow hung naturally at her sides, defying gravity. But her hair hung straight down from her head, ending in little, wispy threads. No detail, just a silhouette. As soon as I recognized it, I was already past the house. So I turned around and drove past it again. This time I only saw some rumpled curtains with tassels and a lamp in the window. Which, maybe, if you squinted real hard, could look like a woman hanging upside down. I shook my head and kept driving home. I'd had a lot of pareidolia jump scares like this. Pareidolia is our brain's tendency to see faces and shapes in randomness, like how we see clouds that look like animals, or knots of wood that look like faces. Sometimes I think I have an overactive sense of pareidolia. For example, years ago, when I got bangs cut for the first time, I started seeing shadow people. It took me an embarrassingly long time to realize the shadow people was hair falling into my eyes, that my brain was interpreting as some sort of demon or spirit. So I didn't give the upside-down woman much thought. Until I saw her again. I was on the subway into work. Lights caught my eye, out the window, as another subway passed us in the opposite direction. I looked up, and there she was. The silhouette of a woman hanging upside down in the passing subway car, pressed against the window, blurred by the speed of the train. I only saw her for a split second, and then she was gone, as the train rattled past us. What the fuck? I must have just seen, like, a black jacket draped over a seat, or something, right? My heart began to pound. I stared out the window for the rest of my commute, but all the other passing subways were fine, filled with commuters staring at their phones. When I got out at the station, my legs were so weak I thought I might collapse, but I forced myself to work. I didn't see anything strange on the way back from work either. When I got home, I tried to distract myself, binging the nastiest stuff on HBO and plowing through an entire bag of chips. Then I finally went to sleep, only to wake up with a start at 3:03 a.m. I was covered in a film of cold sweat. My heart was pounding, but I couldn't remember any dream. Usually when I woke up like this, the vestiges of some nightmare were still in my head. This time there was nothing. I rolled over, pulling the covers up to my chin and closed my eyes. Wait. There was something in the darkness of my room that didn't look quite right. Nah. I opened my eyes and looked around the room, my heart hammering. The dark shapes of my nightstand, my bookshelves came into focus. Everything was where it should be. Except for the light. It was too dark in here. I rolled back over towards my window and realized that the usual annoying light from the street lamp below was not shining through the curtains. I got out of bed slowly and made my way to the window. I pulled back the curtains. My knees buckled underneath me. She was hanging from the roof. Her feet were tied to the awning of the roof right in front of my window. Her arms hung loosely from her shoulders. Her hair hung straight down, waving gently in the breeze. Actually, her entire body was waving gently in the breeze. I grabbed the curtains and pulled them shut. I ran over to the light. Then I tiptoed back to the window and peeked out a tiny slit between the curtains. No. She was gone. I saw the street lamp. The night sky, dotted with stars. The next morning I tried to tell myself it was a dream. I'd had a few weird moments in my life, in the twilight between dreaming and wake. Sleep is a weird hallucinogenic continuum, and who was to say I hadn't imagined the woman out my window? Deep down, I knew that wasn't true. But it was a pretty little lie. I made my way to work shaken. I didn't look up at passing subway cars. I drank about 3 cups of coffee. Jeff, ever the charmer, told me I looked super tired, and Tina asked me if I was sick. I didn't tell them what happened. They wouldn't believe me. When I got home, I started searching online for what I'd seen. I found myself scouring urban legend forums and even old posts here on Reddit, the kinds of places I only visited briefly when I saw the shadow people or when I was looking for a laugh. Now, I wasn't laughing. I was desperately searching for an answer to whatever this was. And then finally I found it. Someone claimed their friend had seen the upside-down woman and had died 4 days later. Stay away from windows, they warned. It can only manifest in windows. They also remarked that their friend had at first seen the woman through 2 layers of glass, like through a car window, into the window of a home, and then later through only 1 window, like it was getting closer. Some sciencey person had replied asking all kinds of ridiculous questions like if plastic counts or any transparent material, and they replied, there has to be a pane of glass, or glass-like material, in front of the person. They did not explain glass-like any further. There was no way to avoid windows, unless I lived in the basement, so I moved food, water, and clothing down there while half closing my eyes. I told my boss I was sick. Oh yeah, Tina told me you look sick. Hope it's not COVID. It took me a long time, but then I was settled in. For how long, I didn't know. I didn't know if it was even possible to wait out the upside-down woman. And I didn't even know if I actually believed in her existence in the first place. That was about to change. I decided to get some reading done to get my mind off things. I grabbed my book and without thinking grabbed my reading glasses. As soon as I put them on, I screamed. She was hanging from the basement ceiling, hanging in the corner, a void of darkness, hair nearly trailing to the floor, and then this time she moved. In jerky, incredibly fast motion, she broke free from the ceiling and scrambled towards me. I ripped the glasses off my face, but not before pain exploded in my arm. When I looked down, there were 4 deep scratch marks on my forearm, dripping blood. That leaves me here. I am sitting in my basement, away from all windows and glass, on the 3rd day. According to the guy on the internet, his friend was killed the 4th day. I don't know what will happen after 4 days. If that means I've waited her out, and she'll move on to another target, or if she'll kill me anyway, glass or not. If you don't hear from me in 24 hours, assume the worst. Today I'd like to share a story with you that one of our subscribers sent me. It's a real experience she went through herself, and she decided to share it with us. Hi, I'm Bella D. Sorry if this story is a little short, but here it is. Ever since my grandpa died, I kept seeing dark figures from the corner of my eye. It's difficult for it to happen, but when it does, it really feels like there's someone there. I don't know if that's him or someone, or even something else, but it's there. It's there watching me, staring blankly as I can't see its eyes. When I turn to face it, the figure vanishes, but the feeling of being watched doesn't. A similar thing happened when my grandma died, but instead of seeing figures, I hear voices. Voices calling my name, whispering it in the silence of the night. The voice is similar to hers, but it's completely disembodied. I don't know where it comes from, but it does. And I sense that wherever it's coming from, it's close to me. My grandma isn't my grandma. I haven't seen my grandma in 3 years. My mom and I moved across the country after the divorce, and we didn't have the money for a plane ticket. At least that's what my mom claims. I think it's just because she hates my grandma. Well, funny how her attitude magically changed when her boyfriend presented her with plane tickets to Costa Rica. Ava, your grandma's so much fun. She'll teach you how to knit. She'll teach you how to bake butterscotch cookies. She's the best. She did warn me about something, though. Her mind has gotten bad, my mom told me. She has trouble remembering things, recognizing people. Is she going to be okay? Yeah, but just be patient with her, okay? And if she seems really out of it, Call Mrs. Dempsey down the street. I put her number in your phone. Okay. But you're going to have a great time, my mom said, plastering on a smile. It's going to be wonderful. 2 days later, I was getting off at Pittsburgh Airport. Funny how my mom said I was too young to go to the diner alone with Shireen. The world is dangerous for a 13-year-old girl. Her words. But she had no problem sending me off on a plane alone. My grandma wasn't great with cell phones. She didn't pick up when I called. But as soon as I got to the pickup line, I saw her silver Subaru out back at the curb. Grandma stood beside it, smiling widely. "Grandma," I said, running up to her. She didn't open her arms to hug me. She just stood there looking down at me. "Grandma?" "Hello, dear," she said after a pause, as if just noticing me for the first time now. "How have you been? I'm so happy to see you." Then she opened the car door and gestured me inside. The car smelled like old person smell. I'm sorry that's mean, but it's true. I crinkled my nose as I pulled on my seatbelt, and she drove us back through the city, out into the Pennsylvanian countryside. "Get comfortable, dear," Grandma said as she led me inside. The house looked the same as it always did. A little stale, a little outdated, but also oddly comforting compared to the minimalistic style of my mom's house. I glanced at the needlepoint hanging in the foyer of a large pitcher of lemonade. "Make yourself at home. You can eat anything you find in the fridge or the pantry," she told me. "Oh, except I almost forgot. I do have one rule. The basement is off limits." "Why?" "It's a little dangerous down there, dear. Wouldn't want you getting hurt." I frowned. The basement had never been off limits before. It was finished on one side, and she had a bunch of board games and a sofa down there. I liked hanging out down there. It was the only place that didn't smell like old people. "It wasn't dangerous before," I protested. "Well, it is now," she said, in a significantly firmer tone. Then her smile went right back on, and she asked me, "Would you like some butterscotch cookies?" "Yes, please." My mom was right. Grandma was kind of fun. I helped her with the cookies, and she told me she'd send me home with the recipe. I did some reading and talked to my friend Shireen on the phone. Then it was bedtime. Tall and thin, Grandma looked like a ghost as she paced down the dark hallway to her bedroom. "Night-night," she said, poking her head out and giving me a wave. "Good-night, Grandma." Her blue eyes glinted in the darkness, then the door snicked shut. I fell asleep quickly, despite the bed that was a little too soft and the loud cricket outside my window. I woke up with a start, however, and looked at my phone to see it was almost 2 a.m. My throat was parched, so I headed out to the hall bathroom to get some water. As I walked across the hallway, I noticed Grandma's bedroom door was open. And as I looked harder, what the hell? Grandma was sitting on her bed in her nightgown, staring out into the hallway, head tilted slightly, blue eyes glinting in the darkness. I stopped in my tracks. Grandma? Was she smiling? "Grandma?" "Ava, is that you?" she called out. No, she wasn't smiling. At least not anymore. "Yeah, it's me," I replied, my voice wavering. "Why are you up?" "I thought I heard something," she replied. "So I was just sitting here to make sure." It was nothing. I got my water, feeling unsettled. When I got out of the bathroom, Grandma was poking her head out of the doorway again, waving. "Night-night." "Good night." The next day, when I asked her about it, she didn't even seem to remember the interaction. "I don't remember being up," she said, looking at me. In the sunny light filtering through the window, she looked much less scary. White hair tied back with a silver barrette, pale wrinkled skin, tired blue eyes. "You saw me up?" "Yes," I said, firmly. "Huh." She rose from the seat, still in her nightgown, and shuffled toward the stove. "Would you like pancakes this morning, Allison?" My heart sank. Allison was my mom's name. "Ava," I corrected, following her into the kitchen. "Right, of course. Ava." She shook her head. "You're just..." A spitting image of her when she was your age. The dark eyebrows and the curly hair. She shook her head again. It's like going back in time. She made the pancakes in silence. The tines of the fork hitting the bowl. Another egg glooping in. Cracked eggshells set by the counter. A sharp sizzle as the viscous batter hit the cast iron pan. I have chocolate chips I can add, she said, riffling through the counter. Oh, wait. These expired a year ago. It's fine, I told her. After breakfast, I thought maybe we'd play a game of Go Fish like old times, or take a walk. But Grandma had other plans. I'm afraid I'm feeling rather tired, she told me. Is it okay if I go rest and you just hang out here? That's fine. I brought my Switch, I told her. Video games. Oh, okay. That's nice. Well, get me if you need anything, okay? I nodded. I found myself surprised that I was disappointed. I thought I didn't miss all those things we used to do, boring things like playing cards or walking. But I did. Whatever. I'm here for a whole week, I told myself, going up to my room. I booted up my Switch and started playing Pokemon. A few hours went by. When I got hungry, I went back down to the kitchen, but Grandma still wasn't around. I hope she's okay, I thought. I poked around the fridge and found some leftover chicken, dated 2 days ago. I popped it in the microwave and sat down to eat. I'd only been eating a few minutes when I heard it. A scuffing sound, coming from the basement. I got off the couch and walked towards the basement door. She told me not to go down there. What was down there then? Rats? An illegal exotic pet? Yeah, right. The scuffing sounds continued. I pressed my ear to the door. And then I heard it. Help me. Spoken in my grandma's voice. Every muscle in my body froze. She must have gotten trapped down there. Maybe she fell down the stairs. That's why I haven't seen her for hours. I undid the deadbolt and swung the door open. Grandma? I called. The lights were off, but from what little I could see, it didn't look like she was lying at the bottom of the stairs. Thank God. Grandma? I called again, louder this time. Help me! Hands grabbed me from behind and yanked me forcefully back. The door slammed in my face, then my grandma was in my face, her eyes wild. I told you not to go in the basement, she shrieked, so loudly my ears rang. I heard you down there, I said, my voice trembling. No, you didn't, she snapped back, her face twisted in this awful, vicious expression of anger I'd never seen before. I'm right here. I was upstairs lying down when I heard you calling for me. There is no one down there. But I heard you, I said, tears starting to prickle my eyes. She just shook her head and walked away. For the rest of the day, Grandma sat in the living room knitting. Every time I passed by the basement door, her eyes followed me. I started to feel incredibly uncomfortable. When I went up to my bedroom to talk to Shireen, I could hear her footsteps outside my door. She was trying to be as quiet as possible. Her footsteps were slow and light, but I still heard them. When I came down for dinner, Grandma was all smiles. She served me a dish of warm lasagna, cheese melty and gooey on top, smelling of garlic and onion. Thanks, I said. It felt like she was trying to make amends for yelling at me. But when I sat down to eat it, she just stared at me. Aren't you going to have some? I asked, hovering the first bite next to my mouth. No, it doesn't fit my diet. This is just for you, Allison, she replied. Ava, I snapped back. I set the fork down. This was feeling like all kinds of weird. I stared at my grandma's face, a chill going down my spine. Her blue eyes were so intense, so cold. She seemed so different from 3 years ago. What kind of cake did you make me for my 9th birthday? I asked. She tilted her head, staring intently. I don't remember, dear. You spent all day on that cake, of course you remember. Her mouth became a thin line. She paused. I don't remember. What's my birthday then? I pressed, and she blinked. It's October, isn't it? September 14th. I'm sorry, dear, she finally said, breaking eye contact. I don't remember things as well as I used to, and I mix up names and words. It's not because I don't love you. I stared at her, and then I forced a fake smile. I know, Grandma. I love you. Then I got up from the table and started up the stairs. You haven't finished your lasagna, dear. Grandma's voice came from the bottom of the stairs. I'm not hungry, I called back. I hadn't taken a single bite. I think my grandma's a skinwalker, I whispered into the phone. Shireen gasped on the other end. What? She doesn't remember anything about me. I think she's keeping my real grandma locked away down in the basement. What? I heard her voice, calling for help. A heavy sigh. Shireen was not the superstitious type. Are you sure you heard her voice from the basement? Yes. What are you going to do? I'm going to go down there, I replied. Tonight. Maybe you should just wait for your mom to get back. My grandma could be dead by then. Maybe you should call the police. What if my grandma tells them I'm a liar, that I made it all up? Are they going to believe her? Or a 13-year-old girl? I still think you shouldn't go down there. Well, I'm gonna... Okay, well, give me your address or something. If you don't call me back, I'll call the police. Good idea. I gave her my address. She tried to talk me out of it for another 10 minutes, and then I hung up. Then I swung the door open and crept out into the hallway. Silence. Darkness under Grandma's, or not Grandma's, door. I was safe. I tiptoed down the stairs and walked over to the basement door. Then I waited for a few minutes to make sure not Grandma wasn't following me. Silence. I slowly, quietly slid the deadbolt. Then I swung the door open, creaking slightly on its hinges. I winced, hoping that didn't wake her up. No scuffing sounds. No voice calling for help. Maybe she's already... I swallowed the thought and started down the stairs. The light didn't seem to work, but I had my phone with me. The flashlight illuminated each step beneath me. I slowly made my way down. When my feet hit the cold concrete bottom, I swung the light around. All the blood drained out of my face. Sitting on the floor chained to a support pole was my grandma. Her head hung limply in front of her, white curls hanging over her face. Grandma, I called, my throat tightening. Icky. Grandma lifted her head. The phone fell out of my hands. Her face. There was something horribly wrong with her face. Pure white eyes. A wide smile full of pointed teeth. Skin that seemed to slough off her face in patches, revealing bone beneath. No. No, no, no. A horrible cracking sound filled the air. I watched in horror as the thing transformed. Bones twisted and contorted. The face opened its mouth in a silent scream. And then... I was staring at myself chained to the post, white eyes fading to match my brown ones. It cocked its head. Hello? It said, in a voice that matched my own. I let out a scream. And then Grandma, real Grandma, from upstairs, not this horrible thing, was grabbing me and shoving me up the stairs. The door slammed shut and I found myself on the floor, panting, looking up at her. What did I tell you? Don't go in the basement. What? Grandma? I choked out. She double-checked the door was locked, then led me to the kitchen. That thing showed up a year ago, she told me, as she pulled out my leftover, now congealed piece of lasagna from the fridge. She draped a thin blanket over my shoulders and sat down across from me. At first, it took the appearance of an old friend of mine. I let it in. I fed it. Not just food, she said, glancing down at the lasagna in front of me, still uneaten. It started eating my memories. How? I don't know how. But I found myself forgetting simple things. Names, dates, birthdays. And then one day I woke up to the thing, looking just like me. I don't think it was aware that I would not respond well to a person looking exactly like me. I tricked it into the basement by pretending to relive a memory of the basement being a very important place over and over again. It eventually ate that memory and went down there. I locked it in. With the help of someone I met online, someone who believed me, I was able to chain it to the post. And I'm keeping it there so it can't hurt anyone else. I stared at her. If you knew you had this dangerous thing in your basement, why did you let me stay here? I missed you and I foolishly thought you'd listen to me. Scuffling sounds came from beneath us. And then I heard my own voice reverberating through the floor. Help me. Get back down here and help me. Will it eat my memories too? I whispered. No. It needs physical contact for that. Our talk was interrupted by 3 short knocks on the door. And that's when I realized I never called Shireen back. And couldn't, because my phone was at the bottom of the basement stairs down there with it. I'll take care of this, I told her, getting up from the kitchen table. Thankfully, the police bought my tail, and because I didn't let them in, didn't hear the clone of me screaming the basement. Then I used Grandma's old computer to send Shireen an email. There's still the matter of the thing in the basement, of course. But that's another problem for another day. For now, I'm going to eat some lasagna and then go straight to bed. And Mom was right. My grandma is fun. Don't forget subscribe and press like. Thank you for watching.